What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and this is your preview for Chelsea Green, entitled She is a Chaotic Trickster of the Modern Era. No current link or gear, though we do know she will get a link with Piper Niven coming up soon. Trainer ability is not loaded yet. So come back or see the comments section so that we know what that is. And her moves, she has three really good move sets. And let me just say, fantastic animations. She is really catching that vibe of the character Chelsea Green. So first move set is going to be a fun and interesting one. It is a double sub build, but the trick is it's a bleed build secretly. So on the bottom, we're going to put this rope choke color submission. Choose 6 gems to make into yellow submission and do 215, 790k damage for 3 turns. Then you also have your rope choke again, but yellow color submission, 6 gems to make into blue, same damage, same amount of turns. So you've got that recycle between the two subs. Here's where it gets interesting though. The pump kick, deal 175,626 damage and 875,517 bleed for 5 turns. Here's where she separates herself from Zombieanka. Her bleed will stack once you reload the yellow off the subs. So Entourage, we are going to need Kofi to get started turn 1 in most modes. If you're not concerned about turn 1 starts and just want that bleed damage as high as possible, you can obviously throw in Seth Rollins for additional bleed damage. Otherwise, Apollo is your man. If you don't have Apollo, put Seth there instead. King Woods and Kyrie, all of these buffing the bleed so that it does 3 million bleed for 5 turns. That's 15 million bleed. Since the bleed isn't really impacted by the belt, I'm not going to show that just yet. Let's see how this fun build does on the road. All right, we're on the road against Lita. We are going to start with the bleed. Why else are we here? We are bleeding them out, as mentioned, 3 million bleed, just short of, for 5 turns. Then we're going to choose the color submission into blue. You want to reload your blue, so make a 5 match. If you want to connect that one, that'd be fine as well. And then put the rest somewhere where she's not likely to break them. That's 3 turns, so it's going to keep her moves down, but the bleed is key. Look at that. She is almost gone already, but guess what we could do? We can reload these yellows, and if she were to survive, which frankly she's not going to, then we could start the bleed cycle over again. This is her 3rd bleed turn, which means 2 more turns of bleed would stack on top of that. That's impressive, but I think there's more fun to come. Let's check out another build. All right, our next build is the triple purple. On the bottom, the lung blower, as Davey D would say, pause. Deal 327,648 damage and force your opponents to skip their turn for 2 turns. In the middle, the running front drop kick. Deal 333,903 damage and make 7 random gems into 2-turn juggernaut gems that will deal 663,213 damage on every countdown and increase your purple MP by 4 at the end of the countdown. And then the I'm Prettier finisher. Deal 885,502 damage and gain 8 blue MP, pinning the opponent. Hardcore. If this opponent's class is Technician, deal an additional 1,161,601 damage. So she is a technician killer. We're going to see this move come into play in her last move set, which I think is actually her best. But let me show you the entourage for this one. So to start loaded, you're going to want King Woods here. You could do it a different way because the Juggernauts reload. It just takes a few turns, and that's okay too. Also note the new Seth freaking Rollins works really well here to bump up the Juggernaut gems. Purple finishers do 150% more with Mutant Doink. Purple moves that deal damage do 25% more damage right there with Hall of Fame Trish. If you have KO, you could put KO on here, Striker KO that is, for finisher damage. We'll talk about that in the next move set. And then in the middle, or on the last one here, I've got Streak Goldberg for one more Juggernaut gem because every one you add is doing an additional 600,000 damage. So with Goldberg, you're making 8. If you also added Seth into the mix, it would be 9. That's over 5 million damage per turn. Let's see how she does. All right, we're back out here against Lita Rebel. Now, notice her moves are not fully loaded. If you had some additional perks, maybe right there. But in most cases, you're going to be going straight for the Juggernauts. And then if you can make a purple match, make a purple match. This would be where a plate like a bright color get purple would be very helpful for her to get her reloaded. Because once the stun lock is applied, she's good. But until the Juggernauts refill those moves, she's not. So you can see this is a perfect bad board for this match. She needed to get to purple. But now that the Juggernauts are reloaded, the stun is reloaded. That's a 794,000 hit. The Juggernauts are ready to go. So you're going to continually reload and stun lock from this point forward. And then your finisher is doing 3.4 million with what's on my strap, which I'll show you in just a minute. And it's pretty much over from there. So stun lock build, really powerful. It just takes a turn or two to get it moving. So obviously she can get turn one, but you saw she's done. The Juggernauts went off, ate all of her health. This is the end of Lita. So let's check out one final move set that I think is actually her best. All right, let me show you her last move set, which I think is actually her most powerful. On the bottom, your blue missile dropkick is going to deal 164,924 damage and choose 7 gems to make purple. The middle, the big boot, deal 180,341 damage and make 30 random gems into trap. But if broken by your opponent, deal 89,332 damage and decrease the damage of your opponent's gems by 10% for one turn. If broken by you, deal 89,332 damage and increase your purple move damage by 52% for one turn. Does not affect bonus damage. Then you have your I'm Prettier finisher. Deal 885,502 damage and gain 8 blue MP, which recycles flawlessly this whole setup. And if the opponent's class is Technician, deal 1,161,601 additional move damage. Entourage. I don't have the best one. I'll admit it up front. You need your blue moves loaded, so we're going to put Lawler in there. You've got purple finishers do 150% more damage with Mutant Doink. If you have Striker KO, he is a great addition in here, possibly even replacing this if you want to use props or have tour bonuses. Purple moves that deal damage do 25% more damage with Hall of Fame Trish. And if you have him, Captain Lou Albano is who should go right there. Trap gems. He does your 150% more finisher damage, 50% more finisher damage. But instead, I am going to be using Acro Dragon for trap gems do 50% more damage, and moves that generate traps will create one more. Here's where you really need to see the strap, because obviously move damage as much as possible. Double takedown 2. If you've got a 200% purple move gem damage, it goes right there. This is a preview strap that is 30% gem damage, so not helping out with this build. Now, you might be tempted to throw on one of the plates where you break the blue gems and you then turn in to additional colors, or break purple and do these. You could. The problem is you don't want to cascade with this build. So for the moment, I'm showing without plates, but here's the thing. She doesn't need them. She is incredible. Let's check it out. All right, we're out on the road against Alundra Blaze so I can face a technician. The only problem is she's 5-star gold. And in many rounds of testing, I have cascaded and beat her turn 1 every time, which is great because she does turn 1. But I want you to see this power damage. So I'm going to try and play it as safe as possible. And then you can just see how great she is beyond that. So without any buffs, you're dealing 3.9 million damage. Sorry, you are dealing 3.4 million damage, you're gaining your blue MP, and you're doing an additional 4.5 million damage. So you've got 8 million damage right here with no buffs whatsoever. But we're going to throw down these big boots, and every single one we break increases your purple move damage by 52%. So your temptation is to blow up as many of them as you possibly can. But it is only for one turn, so you don't want to cascade. So we're going to lay down these, they're random, and then you're going to try and find the best possible path where you get 5 or 6 at least of these, where you're not likely to cascade. And so if there's a row that has 7, that would be great. I don't see it. This one has 6, but I am likely to cascade. So I'm just going to take this row right here and get that additional buff. And you'll see, play it safe, didn't cascade. Even still, she's up to 12 million damage to anybody and an additional 16 million to technicians. Can you say goodbye? This is your technician, Whopper. She will destroy them. And by the way, if somehow Alundra were to survive this, which she's not going to, most won't, every time she tries to break one of these trap gems on the kick out, she's decreasing her own gem damage by 10%. Every swipe that she hits them, plus her health is in the gutter. So no matter what, Chelsea is pretty much winning turn 1 if you don't cascade. She is incredible. Now let's go to the after party and have Rusty and I pick apart all the fun we had with this character.
Wow, that's an impressive debut from Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green. I
Chelsea
can only
Karen Green.
I can only hear her name the way that she's announced when she comes to the ring. Anyway, so yeah, I'm always thinking about that. Pretty cool, pretty flexible superstar, Lee. Initial
Yeah.
impressions?
Yeah, I think she might be the best trickster female in the game pretty easily. I still am pretty
Hmm,
partial to Zombie Bianca,
yeah.
but we'll talk about it. Her bleed mix may actually stack better than Zombie Bianca. I have fun with Becky Goat because Becky's my favorite all time, and I
Yeah.
don't really care for the character Chelsea Green, but the in-game character, oh my goodness, she's a problem.
Yeah, my initial impression after previewing her and then watching your preview was that she might be the most versatile female superstar. She might be one
Yeah,
whose move sets are
right.
all valid and situationally important for a number of different
Absolutely.
formats. So yeah, I really enjoyed Chelsea Green, and I can't wait to ask you a few more questions about her. Um, where was your, where was the one where you're like, this is clearly, this is the power, this is the one you want, this is the one that
Right.
we're gonna feud, we're gonna lights out, turn one that opponent.
Well, yeah, the double blue with the purple finisher seems to be the winner for that. But the sub bleed build is very close. Like I don't think you can go wrong either way. Triple purple's
Yeah.
okay. And with Streak Goldberg and the new Seth freaking Rollins on there, she hits
Hmm.
6+ million every time the Juggernaut cycle goes off,
Yeah.
plus you're stun locked. So really she has three ways that you can really run her that are all good. But double blue into purple, purple finisher. So you choose into purples, but first you're laying down all the traps. So you're breaking your own purples, which buff the finisher up, right? You just got to make sure you don't cascade. That's going to be the trick to
Hmm.
that one. And
Yeah.
then her finisher, I know Professor was hitting in the 20 to 30 million range, plus then the bonus damage if you hit a technician. I don't have Striker
Amazing.
KO, so and I don't have Captain Lou. So if you had been in there with your Captain Lou, she'd have hit even harder.
Yeah, you know what's really neat about that finisher is that it's recharging the whole move set, and not because of
Yeah,
gym cascade or gym spam. Typically, right, the finisher, you're going to fill the board with all these gems, but you just gain the blue MP for nothing. You just
right.
deal the big
You
damage,
just get it.
gain 8 MP. So that's going to refill everything. And if you're a
Yep.
technician, it's lights out. You're getting a
Yep.
bonus million, at least baseline bonus damage. She's a tech killer.
She
It's
is,
probably,
but I mean, honestly, most aren't going to survive that finisher if you've got the trap
mm,
gems and they break them, because every trap gem they break decreases their gem damage. Currently at 10%, we've got the 6-star bronze preview, but if they break three, let's say they do a row break, they break 5 to 6 gems. That's 60% that they can't kick out of. Plus, it's a massive finisher already, so their health bar is going down. And if you know the
yeah,
metrics or the mechanics in the game, once your health bar gets really low over here, your kick out ability drops. Like as
right,
your health bar
right.
decreases, your kick out. So they're not going to kick out. Like I
Hmm.
see her as a get out of jail free card. She's going to win a lot of matches for you.
I think she's built for the future as well with what
Yeah.
she can do. I think as the game continues to grow and as we see power levels continue to rise, I think this superstar is going to stay valid for quite a few metas versus just this one situational meta that we find ourselves in. Because as you and I were talking earlier, she's not a gym damage superstar, which is kind
Right.
of become the standard now is who can do the most gym damage. She's tilting things back towards move damage, and
Yeah.
she has something, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I can't think of any other superstars who have two valid sub moves that create color gems that then charge the other subs. So it's like you're sub locking and refilling
Right.
everything. Are there others that do that? Maybe I just haven't got to play with
Yeah,
them
yeah,
yet.
there are Ken Shamrock. Well, I was smirking because when you,
Yeah.
you were about to say two valid sub moves, I was like, Cody has three. We just don't have him. But anyway,
Yeah, 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 right.
free sub Cody. But yeah, no, there are a few, but they are more rare. The sub meta went away, and I think just to be noting on that, the sub is a trap. I don't think you buff the subs. Like you could do
Mm.
Ali, you could do Logan
Yeah, Logan
Paul,
Paul.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get that sub damage way huge. But it's not a huge base, right? 200 something K each. What that's really there for is to get you back to the bleed, because the bleed does 5 turns, so it stacks. So you load those yellow moves, throw down the bleed, and sub them. If they take 2 turns to get out of that, that's 2 sets of the bleed that goes off. Then you go
Yeah.
back. There's the balloons again. Then you go back to the other sub, which reloads it, and then your bleed is back, and it's stacked for 1 to 2 more turns, and it did 15 million damage. Like,
Wow.
who's gonna? So I think what you said is
Wow.
perfect. She's already built for the 6 gold meta. I think we have
Yeah.
no way of predicting, but I think
No
she's
way.
built for
No way
six
to
gold.
know what's coming in the future, but she's poised to be relevant in the future.
Yeah.
Here's one thing that is, I would say, is innovative, that you're not loading the subs to do the primary means of damage and to carry the match. The subs
Yeah.
are kind of MP fillers, although they
Yeah.
are effective. They're MP drainers and
Right.
MP fillers, so they're duplicitous in the
Right.
fact that they can do both. I love sub moves, so I
Yep.
would probably play this superstar a little slower than you would, just because I enjoy that
Right.
kind of combo play. Like I
Right.
love it. I'm not in a race necessarily to finish my feuds. That's why I'm not the best feud partner sometimes. But
Nice.
any final thoughts or things that we should be thinking of as we chase after Chelsea Green from your preview? I previewed her as well. Let me say this before you do some closing thoughts. My favorite thing about Chelsea Green is that her skip turn move is not her best move. Like
Oh yeah.
I love that it's there. It can be
Right.
useful. It can be a tool, but it's not the only tool, and it's not even the one that necessarily you're tempted to build around like so many other superstars. And so
Yeah.
you get a piece of that action without it being like repetitive. Oh, here's something
Right.
redundant. I've already seen a skip turn move. I'm going to stun lock them. I know
Yep.
how this works. But this is
Yeah.
something where it's there, but it's not probably the way you want to move with this with necessarily in this gameplay. Do you agree with that?
Right. I agree. Yeah, I think my closing thought is she has three very viable move sets. The skip turn, the triple purple stun lock move set with the juggernauts. If you've got Street Goldberg, and especially if you've got Seth freaking Rollins, that's going to hit hard. It's going to be 6 million, 5 million per turn, and it's very control, right? You're going to win. It's just slower. Then you go to the sub meta one, and really, so the one I should have called out is Molly Holly. Molly Holly was the OG,
Mm,
double sub with the colors. But
right.
kind of like Molly, but it adds the bleed mechanic, and the bleed is strong enough that the subs are always going to keep the moves down, and the bleed is just going to drain them out. So she'd be hard to lose with. And then the power build. The power build is going to destroy, but it has, as it should, the fatal flaw that if you cascade, it doesn't work the right way. And there always should be some kink in the armor and characters, otherwise they just always win all the time.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the kink. Either she's got two slower but control move sets that are still going to hit increasingly hard, and then the one power move set. But if you miss, you miss, and I like that. Like she's powerful enough to be super engaging, but you can still, if you're going up against her, it's not like, well, guess I just lost, right? Like you can still take
Yeah.
on the character, but you know that she's one of the more deadly ones out there, and I like that.
And her most deadly moveset is not contingent upon the sub or the bleed. So an
Right.
anti-bleed strap doesn't nerf her. An escape
Yeah.
artist plate doesn't nerf her. That's really, really good stuff, Lee. Yeah, man, take us
Yeah.
out.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this preview of Chelsea Green entitled. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe because that really helps
Chelsea
us out.
Green.
I need to talk to your manager. Bye.